Chapter 29 Narration of Stories of Dreams. I bow down Sri Ganesh, I bow down Sri Saraswati, I bow down the Guru, I bow down the family dignity, I bow down Sri Sita Ramchandra, I bow down Sri Satguru Sai Nath. In this chapter, I will make you listen to Shri's marvelous and unimaginable skills beyond which have been related in the previous chapter. The subject is the same. Hearing about Baba's incredible Leelas in the year 1916, a bhajan party came to Shirdi for darshan. It was a travelling group who heard of Baba's fame at Madras. While going on a pilgrimage to Kashi, they broke journey at Shirdi. They heard that Sai Baba was a great saint, patient, generous, and one who had controlled his passions. He was kind to pilgrims and distributed large sums of money. He was munificent with small change, half and quarter rupees rained freely. He gave 10, 20, and 50 rupees to some. This was not only on festive days or for some special occasions, every day he gave it happily in the above mentioned proportion. Some men came, Nautanki troops danced, great singers gave programs, bards performed, persons doing tamasha paid obeisance, Tendulkars gave engrossing bhajans. Having heard by word of mouth that Maharaj was generous and liberal in giving charity, they desired to have darshan. Sometimes, if Baba felt like it, he distributed money even to the travellers. He inquired after the well-being of the poor and the meek. Sainath was the embodiment of kindness. There were 4 persons at the party, 1 man and 3 women. The man himself, his sister-in-law, wife and daughter. They were desirous of the saint's darshan. After taking Sai's darshan, the party was pleased. They sung loving bhajans before Sai every day regularly. They belonged to the Ramdasi cult and sung bhajans with great joy. Baba too, if he felt like it, gave them a rupee or half a rupee. Sometimes Baba gave them barfi and sometimes he sent them back empty handed. This was his usual practice, but there was nothing definite or predictable about it. That he distributed money, that is true. There is no untruth in it. But he did not give to everybody. No one was aware of what was in his mind. Fakirs and beggars came to beg alms always at Baba's door. Though Baba was very kind, he did not give charity to all. Only he whose time had come to have good fortune, he alone received the happiness of the money. Even a small coin touched by the hands of a saint is obtained only by the fortunate. Let me tell you a story to illustrate this, which will satisfy the listeners. After narrating it, I will proceed to the main one. After breakfast, when Baba sat down near the dhuni against the pillar in the masjid, a girl called Amni used to come. The young girl was 3 years old, naked, and always came at this time with her mother, carrying a little tin box in her hands. Amni would sit on his lap and give the little box in Baba's hands. Holding Baba's hand, she would repeat, "Baba, a rupee, a rupee." Baba was very fond of children. The girl was plump and beautiful. He kissed and caressed her and held her closely. Baba would embrace her, but Amni's mind was fixed on the money. Baba give me, she would say, concentrating on his pocket. Amni was, after all, a child, but the grown-ups and the elders had the same greed, running only for the selfish purpose. Rare was a person who had spiritual inclination. The young girl sat on his lap, while her mother stayed a little beyond. Outside the railing, she would signal to the girl not to move till he gave the money. Am I a relative of your father, or do I owe him anything that you pester me from the time you awake? And useless ones wanting everything free, Baba would say angrily. But this anger was stimulated, for love rose in waves in his heart. Putting his hands in his pocket, he would bring out a rupee. After he put it in the box and closed it with a sharp sound, as soon as the little box came into her hand, she would run off home. This happened at breakfast time. Similarly, when he left for the lady, he gave Amni a rupee, getting angry in the same way. Thus every day he gave 2 rupees to her, 6 to Jamali, 5 to Dada Kelkar, and 2 each to Bhagya and Sundari. Tatya was given between rupees 10 to 15, Fakir Ba between rupees 15 to 50, 8 rupees were distributed amongst the poor. poor. This distribution was done daily, be it so. The Madrasi had heard stories of this generosity, and as their selfish desire had arisen for the money, they started the practice of the bhajans. The bhajans were beautiful to listen to, but they were sung out of great greed. They stayed in Shirdi, the whole family, in the hope of getting money. Out of the group, three of them had great greed and hoped that Baba would give a lot of money. But only the wife worshipped Baba with devotion. This was her own feeling while singing. Her reverence was like that of a peacock dancing happily on seeing the rain-bearing clouds, or that of the charcoal for the moon. One day, when the noon aarti was in progress, Sai, the embodiment of kindness, seeing the lady's true state of devotion, gave her darshan as Ram. For all others, he was the usual Sainath. He appeared to the lady as the consort of Janki. Tears began pouring from her eyes. People were surprised to see this. She claps with both her hands while the tears flowed from her eyes. Seeing this unusual sight at that time, the people were surprised. Seeing this sight, all were curious to know why there was such a flood of intense love and joy only for her. Late in the afternoon, brimming with great joy, she told her husband about the wonderful experience of Ram Darshan given by Sai. I saw Ram. He of the complexion of the blue lotus, the wish-fulfilling tree of the devotees. The elder brother of Bharat, the joy of Sita, and the son of Dashrath. I saw Janki Nath adorned with a crown, wearing earrings, garland of wildflowers, apparelled in yellow and with four hands. Holding the conch disc and mace on his chest was the mark of Vishnu. He was adorned by the Kushtup Kalind. I saw that enchanting form, the divine Purushottam. She said, this unparalleled incarnation of Vishnu who has taken a human form, the heart and soul of Janki, the bewitching acre I saw. He may appear as a fakir begging for rams from door to door, but I saw the heart and soul of Janki, the bewitching archer. He may seem to be an awliya or be seen by anyone else in their hearts as someone different, but I saw the heart and soul of Janki, the bewitching archer. The lady was very devout, but her husband was very selfish. Women are less like this. How would Raghupati be here? The innocent and devout see what is in their heart. We all saw Sai. How can she alone see Ram? He ridiculed his wife with several such remarks, but the lady did not have any ill feeling, and she had not wrongly imagined anything. It was popularly believed that she had earlier attained spirituality. She used to have Ram's darshan often her often when her mind was calm and composed. Later she became ready for money. God does not coexist with money. She was unable to have Ram Darshan, for that is the nature of greed. Sai was aware of all this. Knowing her tendency, he gave her Ram Darshan again and fulfilled her desire. Be it so. Later that same night, something strange happened. The man, while sleeping, had a frightful dream. He found himself in some city, the prisoner of the police, who had tied his hands with ropes so tightly behind him that the very bones creaked. There was a lockup near which Sai stood outside, quietly and unmovingly seeing the scene. Seeing Maharaj nearby, folding both his hands, he spoke in a humble and pitiable voice. Baba, having heard your fame, I came to your feet. Why has this happened to me when you are present here? Maharaj replied, one must suffer for one's deed. The man said with great humility, I have not done anything wrong, at least not in this life, whereby I have to suffer this hardship. Whereupon Maharaj said, then must have been in another life. He thereupon replied, what do I know about the previous life? And if at all there is anything, it should burn to ashes by your darshan certainly. It should burn like a blade of grass in the fire at your darshan. Why then have I not been fed from it? Then Maharaj said to him, do you have so much faith? When the man replied in affirmative, he instructed him to close his eyes. As he stood with his eyes closed as instructed, that moment he heard a thump, a sound as if someone had fallen down. He was startled by this sudden sound. He opened his eyes Captain Haiti, who was a staunch devotee of Baba to whom Baba gave darshan in a dream early one morning. Haiti lived in Gwalior and saw Baba in his dream there. Notice the skillful way in which Baba asked questions and replies that Haiti gave. Baba said, "Have you forgotten me?" Haiti replied, held Baba's feet and said, "If the child forgets the mother, how will it be saved?" In the dream, he got up quickly and went to the garden quickly. Picked a fresh Valpadi, Siddha, and with Dakshina made an offering to prove his devotion. When all these items were ready to prove his devotion, Haiti moved forward with the scuttle in which they were placed to take the offering. Suddenly his eyes opened and he realized that it was a dream. Immediately Hete felt that he must collect all the items seen in his dream and offer them to Baba personally, but by going to Shirdi. But as he was in Gwalior, he wrote a letter to his friend giving him all the details of the circumstances and pursued him to go to Shirdi himself. The money will be sent to you by post. By good quality Siddha and somehow obtain selected Valpadi. Take the balance money with you and offer it to Baba with Siddha and other things. Pay obeisance at his feet and ask for prasad and send it to me. As soon as the money was received, the friend left for Shirdi. He purchased all the required items except for papadi, for which there was difficulty. Just then a basket came there. It was being carried on a woman's head. He called her and was surprised to find Valpapti in it. Everyone was surprised. He brought all the items and offered them with reverence to Maharaj. He gave them to Namonkar to cook for Nevedya the next day. The next day when Baba sat down to eat, he did not touch the dal, rice, etc. But he picked up the Valpadi. Everyone was surprised. He accepted only the Valpadi and ate only that. Hete was filled with joy when he got the news. The experience that one has depends upon one's devotion. Such was Hete's experience also. Listen to the marvel of the next story and know the sweet courtesy of Sai. A desire rose in him to have a coin of a rupee in his home, which has been touched and purified by Sai. Sai fulfilled his wish. The mind is full of different feelings, discarding the harmful only, the beneficial one should be adored too. Then observe Sai's skill in helping the devotees. When such a good desire rose in Hete, did not take any time to be satisfied. A friend of his desired Sai Darshan was about to leave for Shirdi. Only the intention should be good. Then Sai's fulfill it marvelously. Those who have virtuous intentions, their well-being rests in Sai's hand. Then Hete gave 1 rupee to his friend with great love and told him not to forget to place it in Baba's hands. When the friend went to Shirdi, he immediately took Baba's darshan. He bowed down to his feet and placed his head there. Then he sat in front of Baba. Baba extended his hand for dakshina, so he gave his dakshina at first. Baba put it in his pocket promptly. Then the friend took out Hete's money. With folded hands, he put that rupee also on Baba's palm and said, "This dakshina has been sent with me by Dr. Hete. This Sai is a dweller in all hearts." Even though Hete was in Gwalior, knowing the desire in his heart, he sat minutely looking at it. Displaying affection, Baba held the coin before his eyes. He kept on singularly gazing at it. The people stared at him. He tossed the coin up with his right thumb and caught it with his hands. He played with it in this way for some time. Then he returned the rupee and said, "Return this to whom it belongs. Take this Udi Prasad along with it. Tell him that I do not want anything from him. Stay well." Prostrating at Baba's feet and putting the Udi Prasad at the proper place, the friend took Baba's permission and returned to his home at Gwalior. After reaching Gwalior and giving the rupee to the doctor, he related in detail all that had taken place. Hete was choked with emotion. He said, "The purpose that I had in mind, and as I had wished, Baba fulfilled my wish, knowing my desire." This was what Hete felt, but this was his interpretation. Who can understand the plans of the saints and their purpose? Even if this Hete's belief is true, then observe another incident. It is exactly the opposite of this. Saints alone know their purpose. He returned one person's rupee and pocketed the others. Who can explain the reason with certainty and what was in Baba's mind? He alone knows his reason. We should only enjoy what is happening and not miss the lovely opportunity to do so. Listen to the story to this purpose. Once Waman Navaskar, who had immense love for Baba, brought a beautiful coin to offer it with great devotion. On one side, the facsimile of Ram, Lakshman, and Sita was engraved, and on the other was a pleasing image of Hanuman with folded hands. His intention in making the offering was to get it back after Baba had touched it with Udi and Prasad. Baba always knew the innermost wishes of the others fully, yet when the coin was placed in his hand, he promptly put it in his pocket. Madhura explained Vaman Rao's desire to Baba and earnestly entreated him to return the coin to him. Why should we give it to him? We should keep it ourselves, Baba replied in clear notes in front of Vaman Rao. However, if he is ready to pay rupees 25 as its price, I will give it to him in exchange. Baba said to tell him so. Then to get back that coin, Vaman quickly collected the required money from here and there and gave them to Baba. That amount too he put in his pocket as earlier and said, even a heap of rupees cannot equal this one in value. Their value will be less than that of this coin. Further he said, Shama, you take this, let it be in our collection, keep it in the shrine and keep worshipping it. Now why did he act like this? Who had the authority to ask him? Sai knows what is right and what is wrong. He is the mighty giver and receiver too. So be it. Now that this story is completed, let us give a rest to the minds of the listeners so that they may contemplate the continuously dwell on the stories which they have already heard. Whatever is done or heard cannot be assimilated without contemplation and continuous study. Listening alone will be useless. Therefore, Hemad surrenders to Sai. He holds his feet on his head, which is the best means for achieving anything. Further narration will come later. May there be well-being. This is the end of the 29th chapter of Shri Sai Samartha Satcharitra, written by the devotee Hemad Pant, implied by the saint and virtuous people, called Narration of Stories of Dreams. This is offered to Sri Sadguru Sainath. May there be auspiciousness.